The choice of being in Davos or not being in Davos is a very difficult one. I read a line which puts it across very well. The only thing worse than being in Davos is like not being in Davos. And really, that's the key question that I'm bringing on this panel of discussion. Davos, the inside story, is it losing its relevance? We've got an esteemed panel of guests right here with me. I'm going to begin with Nariman Behravesh, Chief Economist at IHS, Dr. John A Quelch, VP and Dean at CEIBS, Vineet Nayar, Vice Chairman, HCL Technologies, and Professor Subramanian, Rangan, Professor of Strategy and Management, INSEAD. Gentlemen, thank you so much for being with us. My first question, and I'll put it across to you first, Nariman. Is it good being in Davos, or is it not so great being in Davos?
Well, I think it is good being in Davos, but I think when I talk to a lot of CEOs, what they say is they don't go to the public sessions, they're not really interested in a lot of the chit-chat. They go because everybody else, every other CEO, or a lot of other CEOs are here. And so it's that networking opportunity, which is intense but good in the sense that in a very short span of time they can meet and talk with a lot of people they want to talk with. So I think that's the opportunity that Davos really presents. That's the real value. So in that sense, it's still there. That value is still there.
Dr. Quelch, would you rather be sitting here or somewhere else?
Well, on a day like this, I think I'd rather be sitting here than in the pollution of Beijing. But from our point of view, the motivation is a little bit different. The China-Europe International Business School, it's a young, up-and-coming business school. Not so many people at the top of these organizations know about it. From us, it's it's a major awareness building and brand building opportunity to educate people in the business community at the highest level internationally to our existence. Most of those business people want to do business in China or are doing business in China. They need talented people to help them in China. CEIBS can be part of that solution.
So it gives you that great networking access, which is a prominent story of Davos. But Vineet Nayar, you in fact wrote an article saying, is elitist Davos disconnected from reality? And you're questioning the significance.
I agree. I don't think there's a platform like this in the world where so many elitists come. And they're supposed to come to solve a common man's problem. My problem is that we don't even discuss the common man's problem. So as you rightly heard, we network, we do business, we do all that stuff, but we set an expectation for the rest of the world, even looking at this show, of the fact that we come here to solve somebody else's problem, which we don't. And that's my problem, that we come here with mics and not realizing that we have 2 years. So what I have suggested in that article and to everybody out here who's listening is the fact that the relevance of Davos and taking this platform to the next level will only happen if we focus on 5 areas in 5 sessions over 5 days for 5 years and do nothing else and help solve the problem for the world or help move in that direction. And I think that then the relevance of Davos and the promise of Davos will be there. Otherwise, it's a great place to come. It's great weather, great friends, great networking. But that's not the promise of Davos. So we are not meeting the promise of Davos.
So it has to be a greater cause. There to be, the theme this year is resilient dynamism. And many are questioning that to be too esoteric. Like, what exactly is that? Please explain it on a common person's language. And then there's so many varieties of subjects under this big umbrella. How would you like to see Davos?
There's a lot of questions that you wrapped into that. Let me take the resilient dynamism. But if I can also just say about Davos, I think Vineet certainly got an interesting point. My feeling is that in a world which is so globally interconnected, without real global governance, this is the best platform. It is the longest standing. It is more than 40 years now that people have been coming. The problems have grown. The complexity has risen. And there is no other forum like this. In fact, in one word, we say Tina, right? There is no alternative. And in fact, I think people do come with years. I think solving problems is maybe a very big ambition, but addressing, becoming aware, and becoming engaged, I think that definitely happens. And for business leaders especially, this is terrific. For academics, we tend to talk about it, but when we come here and we meet that business leaders, in fact, want to be engaged. So I think the relevance remains extremely high, okay? In terms of this resilient dynamism, what's the central idea? Central idea is that someone said, 5% of life is what happens to you. 95% is how you deal with it, right? And whose responsibility is it to organize and reframe and pick up the pieces and say, we are going to move forward? Who is the chief optimist? That's the leaders, political and business and academic and civil society leaders. So resilience is this idea of endogenous movement forward despite adversity. Stuff happens, and we can do a postmortem. As we do that and we learn lessons, one of the things we learn is we need much more robust architectures, and we need to talk to one another so that we can address certain things which need to be addressed at a collaborative regional or global level, not just a national level.
So I can take it from all of your comments saying that it's not that flippant criticism of it being a millionaire's cocktail party is completely out of the picture. It's much more than that. It might have its share of problems.
Well, just let's make one point, and that is that Davos is the flagship annual event of the World Economic Forum. The World Economic Forum, under the leadership and vision of Professor Schwab, has a range of activities that occur around the world 365 days a year. I'm on one of the Global Agenda Councils. We deep dive into specific problems. There are 30 or 40 of these Global Agenda Councils with the collective expertise of the people who are interested in those subject areas, who are here at Davos, but working, if they wish, throughout the year on deeper dive problem solving.
But I think we need...
If I could just add something here, there's another dimension that we haven't really quite picked up on. There are a lot of foundations that come here to garner support for their causes. I mean, I think of the Gates Foundation. Certainly they have a lot of money, but they're also looking for corporate sort of sponsorship of these wonderful programs they have going on around the world. So there's a lot of that kind of activity that happens and can only happen in this sort of almost hothouse kind of environment of Davos. And so in that sense, there's a lot of good that comes out of that. I agree that we should be doing a lot more in terms of solving some of the world's problems, pressing problems. But there are some good, very, very good things that also happen here outside of the corporate settings, if you will. Yeah.
So my next question is, then, Vineet, from your point, the fact that you're saying there should be a stronger focus, take 5 topics versus taking like, what, 105. That's one side of the agenda. But the second side is many would say, listen, you want as many topics as possible because you want to get fresh ideas. So even a person who's from the corporate field like you can go and talk to somebody who's from a startup IT venture, or somebody who's in the arts and wants to do something with technology, and get those conversations really going.
So first, let me admit that I'm a little ungrateful, sitting in Davos and criticizing it. But the reason I'm saying is, after 2008, the world has changed. Before 2008, these kind of conversations were fine. We should have been happy with little things here and little things there, some government council here and something there. After 2008, the world has changed. There are millions and millions of people who are without job. Hunger, poverty, water issues are very big. Education issues are very big. Who's going to solve them? Are we going to solve them by circling them on a periphery as we are doing out here? Are we going to solve them by 200 sessions and saying it is fine for me to intellectually engage with 200 sessions? I'm saying, who's going to do it? I agree there's no other platform like the World Economic Forum. There is nobody else who's doing it. Government is not doing it. Nobody is doing it. G20 is not doing it. Now, given the fact that you have wonderful platform where such wonderful people come, can you do something with it? And my frustration is that expectation from Davos have to go up. Like a corporate organization, you delivered $10 billion last year. That's not good enough next year. You have to do 11 or you have to do 12. And that's my expectation from Davos, that we have to not be satisfied with what we got last year. We have to demand more. More importantly, we have to deliver more. So it's not the organizers which have to be criticized. It is guys like me who have to be criticized.
So it's been 43rd years of Davos, and it's time to up the ante.
And I think this restlessness, this impatience, is definitely the spirit which we should embrace. Yep. That talking about is good. So therefore, if you see the evolution in the last couple of years, unemployment has received so much attention in the sessions, both the private sessions, the agenda councils, and the public sessions, including again this year. So I think unemployment is definitely on the radar. The point is, one is to become aware and informed. But the forum's new mission is to be a partner in transformation. And it reflects exactly this restlessness. The forum is not an elected body. They do not have millions and billions of dollars of resources and political capital. So they have to act through the citizens, people who want to come and be engaged. We want to be global citizens, so it's up to us. Now, do we have the time? Yes, and each of us is upping the ante.
I would disagree with that, because you can say the same thing about education institutions, that people come, they are not elected, we are here to shape their minds. But in education institution, you make the curriculum to shape their mind, to make them global citizens, relevant to the world. Now, because you run the education institution, it is your responsibility to shape it based on what is needed. So I'm saying it is our responsibility. Forget about who's organizing World Economic Forum, but I'm saying as a responsible leader of the world, we need to deliver more. We need to organize ourselves.
Let me just
better.
add
All
something
the attendees
here.
are leaders here.
Yeah, let me just add something here. I just have this sense in terms of certainly the public agendas, things are a little stale. You need some fresh blood.
Yeah.
You need some younger people coming in. I look at the agenda, the program. It's a lot of the same people again and again, year after year, and I just find that I lose interest. And I think there's a lot of pressing issues we can focus on, a lot of very interesting people all over the world, a lot of institutions, so forth, we can bring in. And I'm disappointed as well, because that's the role that the WEF can play in terms of getting those conversations going, providing the framework, and I just don't quite see that happening.
India's #1 news app just got even better. Download NDTV's new app. Fully optimized for retina display. Full screen view. Faster response time. And Sudoku. NDTV's new iPad app. Download now.